all his products that are intimate hygiene based, minimal ingredients with maximum amount. कि यार इसकी need है, लोग सोच कर रहे for a problem that we've tried to cater to a product, be it about sweating, be it about intimate areas, itching, be it about 10 different things. But the idea is that people even on Amazon are searching about something. Right? बहुत बड़ा part है NuutJob for us, because that helps me know what is it that people truly want. So
फिर से आज आपके सामने एक नई इंटरेस्टिंग कहानी लेके आया हूँ मैं, और ये इंटरेस्टिंग इसलिए है बिकॉज ये बहुत ही टैबू इंडस्ट्री के अंदर एक नया अपना एक यूनिक D2C ब्रांड लेके इन एंटरप्रेन्योर्स ने अपना बिजनेस स्टार्ट किया है। आपने उनके पिच जो शार्क टैंक इंडिया में भी देखा होगा, अभी रिसेंट एयर हुआ था उनका एपिसोड। सो आज हम उनकी स्टोरी से सुनेंगे कैसे एक इंटरेस्टिंग इंडस्ट्री के अंदर एक स्केलेबल रेवेन्यू करते हुए कैसे उन्होंने अपना एक D2C ब्रांड लॉन्च किया है। मैं बस बिफोर ऑब्वियसली आई इनवाइट देम, आई वांटेड टू आस्क कितने लोगों ने NuutJob की जो पिच थी वो देखी है। अगर आप लोगों ने वो पिच देखी थी तो आपने उनका पूरा जर्नी, उनका पूरा मार्केटिंग स्ट्रैटेजी और मे बी इवन व्हाट द प्रोडक्ट इज आपने समझा होगा। तो अगर आपने उनकी जर्नी या उनका पिच शार्क टैंक पे देखा तो एक बार कमेंट में मुझे लिख के जरूर बताइए दैट यू हैव ऑलरेडी सीन देम ऑन शार्क टैंक एपिसोड। और जो फाउंडर हैं जिनको मैंने आज बुलाया है आज आप लोगों के सामने बात करने के लिए हाउ टू बिल्ड अ D2C ब्रांड, हर नेम इज अनन्या मल्लू एंड शी इज द फाउंडर ऑफ NuutJob। आप लोगों ने काफी लोगों ने उनकी पिच सुनी होगी, तो विदाउट फर्दर वेट मैं उनको इनवाइट करता हूँ स्क्रीन पे। And I'll have her over the screen. Hey Ananya, thank you for joining.
Hi, thank you so much for having me be a part of this today. I'm really excited to talk about really fun sales and marketing concepts.
हमारा आइडिया यही है that we want to invite people to talk about their marketing and sales journey. इसीलिए शो का नाम Masters of Sales है, so that people can understand the nuances of building a business, specifically focusing on the functions which is sales and marketing. तो ये आइडिया है so that people can get inspired from you. And हम लोग ज़्यादातर हमेशा different industries के लोगों को लेके आते हैं, different entrepreneurs को लेके आते हैं, so that people can learn more about the uniqueness of the industry. So आज जैसे आप D2C brand में हो, so you'll get to know a lot of fun facts or interesting sales and marketing hacks about DTC a brand, how to build a scalable D2C business. So welcome to the episode of Masters of Sales. I'm sure a lot of audience जो सुन रही है आज देख रही है, काफी लोगों ने आपकी पिच पहले से सुनी है, but before we go deep dive into your sales and marketing part, थोड़ा सा आपके बारे में जानते हैं। आप कहाँ से आते हो, what's your background, and what led you to start a D2C brand specifically in a very taboo sector and founding NuutJob.
Right. तो जो आइडिया था NuutJob का वो काफी फनी स्टोरी से जर्मिनेट हुआ था। What started with जब मैं और अनुश्री लॉकडाउन में क्योंकि घर पे कोई हाउस होल्ड चोर्स करने के लिए नहीं था, कोई हाउस हेल्प नहीं था, तो मैं और अनुश्री देख रहे थे कि यानी घर में सफाई हो। तो अनुश्री और मैं जो बेसिकली हमने सबसे ज्यादा जो लेजी काम होता है, लास्ट वाला काम होता है, वो काम किया। सब नहा चुके हो, सब चले गए हो, इज क्लीनिंग अप आफ्टर एवरीबॉडी इज रेडी। तो हमने वो टास्क लिया था। उसमें हमें पता चला दैट आफ्टर आवर फादर्स, अनुश्री एंड आवर कजिन्स, आई एम सेइंग फादर्स, तो उनने जब नहा लिया होता था, दे वर आल्सो द लास्ट पीपल टू हैव अ बाथ आफ्टर अस। जब वो लोग नहा के बाहर आते थे तो इन देयर बाथरूम्स इतना ज्यादा टैल्कम पाउडर होता था ऑन द फ्लोर, जिससे यानी इनिशियली आप लोगों को लगा कि यानी लगाते हो टैल्कम पाउडर तो थोड़ा स्पिलेज होता है, राइट? बट इतना ज्यादा क्यों हो रहा था इन द बाथरूम? सो व्हाट ट्रूली हैपेंड इज कि एक दिन जाने दिया, 2 दिन जाने दिया, 1-2 बार मैं और अनुश्री फिसले भी बाथरूम में। फिर आई थिंक एक दिन हो गया था कि नहीं, अब बस कन्फ्रंट करना है उनसे, कि पूछना है कि क्यों इतना ज्यादा टैल्कम पाउडर यूज कर रहे हो। इट्स नॉट लाइक मैं और अनुश्री यूज नहीं करते, और अगर कर रहे तो इतना ज्यादा फ्लोर पे नहीं गिरा हुआ होता है, यानी बॉडी से ज्यादा फ्लोर पे गिरा हुआ होता था। आई मीन आई कुड हैव यूज्ड दोस 6-7 टाइम्स गोइंग फॉरवर्ड। तो हमने जाके हमारे फादर से पूछा कि व्हाई आर यू यूजिंग सो मच टैल्कम पाउडर, एंड इफ यू आर यूजिंग, व्हाई इज देयर सो मच टैल्कम पाउडर ऑन द फ्लोर, व्हाई इज इट नॉट ऑन योर बॉडी? बिकॉज अंडरस्टैंडेबली जब लॉकडाउन हुआ था तब समर स्टार्ट ही हुआ था इन द मंथ ऑफ मार्च एंड अप्रैल, स्पेशली यहाँ पे अहमदाबाद में जहाँ पे हम लोग बेस्ड है, इट गेट्स सुपर हॉट, यानी देयर आर चांसेस दैट मे में 50 टच करता है, तो यानी हॉट चालू, लाइक इट स्टार्ट्स बिकमिंग सुपर हॉट ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम। तो हुआ क्या इज दैट also for us as women to ask that question to our fathers was a
Yeah.
big thing, right? But we come from a family where we can converse and talk about general things, where if we're angry we can have that conversation with our fathers. तो वो openness थी, यानी ऐसे नहीं
Hmm.
कि पापा को जाके कुछ भी पूछ लिया आपने,
Hmm.
तो हमने जाके पूछा कि आप इतना ज्यादा टैल्कम पाउडर क्यों यूज कर रहे हो। तो इनिशियली उनने ये टॉपिक ये कारपेट के अंदर ब्रश कर दिया अंडर द आइडिया कि दिस इज अ मेल थिंग, अनन्या आपको पता नहीं चलेगा, लड़के लोग बहुत यूज करते हैं। क्योंकि हम लोग इतने ज्यादा गुस्से थे तो हमने बोला लड़कों का क्या इतना प्रॉब्लम है जो आप
Hmm.
इतना सारा टैल्कम पाउडर यूज कर। हैड आई नॉट बीन एंग्री, मैं मेरे पापा से वो सेकंड क्वेश्चन पूछती ही नहीं,
Yeah.
क्योंकि अगर आप रोज किसी का कचरा साफ कर रहे हो तो आपको गुस्सा आता है, राइट, कि मैं रोज नहीं करने वाली है।
Right.
तो वेरी ऑर्गेनिकली एंड वेरी से जज्बात उठ गए थे इन द सेंस कि बस मैं रोज नहीं करने वाली। So that was the
Hmm.
reason why I asked my father the question that why, what is that male thing? So he said ki Ananya, understand that men in general sweat a lot in their intimates down there. बहुत उनने यानी
Yeah.
embarrassingly भी admit किया था, ऐसा नहीं कि immediately बोल दिया,
Hmm.
but embarrassingly बोला कि men in general sweat a lot down there. काफी common है, सबको होता है, ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ मेरे को है और मेरे चाचा को है,
Yeah.
but सबको होता है। which I'm like, अच्छा अगर इतना कॉमन प्रॉब्लम है और एंड इफ पाउडर इज द ओनली सोल्यूशन, आई एम श्योर आपने नहीं देखा होगा बट मार्केट में देयर बी अदर ऑप्शंस टू केटर टू स्वेट।
Right.
तो एंड मैंने बोला टैल्कम पाउडर का कोई दूसरा ऑप्शन नहीं है क्या? तो ही सेड अगर होता देन आई वुड हैव यूज्ड इट, यू चेक, यू कैन गूगल सो मच, तो आप चेक कर लो अगर कुछ है। तो
Yeah.
मैंने तो सेशन में कर लिया कि आप लोग को नहीं पता होगा, मैं ढूंढ के दिखा दूंगी, राइट। मैंने ढूंढा, कुछ नहीं मिला, स्पेशली योर इन इंडियन
Hmm.
मार्केट देयर वाज नो अल्टरनेटिव टू टैल्कम पाउडर। तो
Hmm.
स्पेशली टू कंट्रोल स्वेट, बट जब मैंने ढूंढा ये एंड स्टार्टेड स्टडिंग अ लॉट अबाउट इंटीमेट हाइजीन, मेरे को लगा कि इंडिया में सिर्फ मेडिसिनल प्रोडक्ट्स है, रोज के लिए कोई प्रोडक्ट्स नहीं है। मेडिसिनल में क्यों बोल रही हूँ,
Hmm.
अगर आपको रिंगवर्म हुआ या आपको जॉकेज हुआ या फंगल इन्फेक्शन हुआ, उसके मेडिसिन है, लाइक एन इच गार्ड और अ बीटेक्स, दीज आर
Right.
थिंग्स दैट आर ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल इन द मार्केट ओवर द काउंटर काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स। बट रेगुलरली आप इच गार्ड तो यूज नहीं करोगे, अगर आपको प्रॉब्लम होगा तब
Hmm.
आप यूज करोगे, पर रोज अगर आपको स्वेट हो रहा है तो व्हाट आर यू गोना यूज फॉर दैट, राइट? रोज अगर आपको इचिंग हो रही है, रोज या तो आपको अंडरवेयर की वजह से there's a certain problem, then what are these products that you can use on a regular that are not causing so much dirt in the bathroom also? तब क्या हो गया था कि conversations around Johnson's and Johnson's का talcum powder being carcinogenic had
Hmm.
started coming into the news. तो मैंने बोला कि
Hmm.
अगर ऐसा करे तो talcum powder is clearly not good for your skin. तो why aren't
Right.
there any particular alternatives in the market जबकि सारे men को हो रहा है? India का male majority is obviously bigger than the female majority. So why isn't anybody
Right.
doing anything about it? Also considering the fact कि India में गर्मी I say 75% of the year होती है. We're not a very cold
Right.
country, right? So throughout the year, men are generally sweating and nobody is really taking care of any of it. So which is why we felt that we should maybe look, go down the rabbit hole and understand कि intimate hygiene होता क्या है, उसमें क्या चाहिए होता है. And वो पता करते करते we spoke to a lot of people and understood कि उनको कैसे products चाहिए होंगे.
Hmm.
So that's how NuutJob was. The idea of NuutJob came into being कि चलो ऐसा कंपनी स्टार्ट करते हैं. अब मेजर रीजन हमने क्यों NuutJob के बारे में सोचा, स्पेशली कंसिडरिंग द फैक्ट कि मैं और अनुश्री इस फील्ड से है नहीं. मेरा मार्केटिंग बैकग्राउंड एंड पीआर का बैकग्राउंड है, स्पेशली विद जर्नलिज्म, एंड अनुश्री हैज डन समथिंग कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट. वी डोंट कम फ्रॉम अ बैकग्राउंड ऑफ हाइजीन और फार्मा और क्रिएटिंग प्रोडक्ट्स लाइक दिस. ना ही हमारे फादर्स का
Hmm.
बिजनेस है या मदर का बिजनेस है. ये हमने सोचा एज अ बिजनेस रनिंग ऑन द आइडिया दैट हाइजीन एंड सैनिटेशन वर टू मेजर वर्ड्स इन 2020 and 21 owing to COVID. Everybody and a
Hmm.
lot of businesses that were coming up into the space were based around the sanitation and hygiene set of things. तो मैंने बोला यार ये तो
Right.
perfect time है यार, everybody is becoming a
Hmm.
lot more aware about hygiene, about
Yeah.
personal wellness, to be honest. So
Right.
I thought this is the perfect time. Had we launched a little before COVID, then I don't think the company would have taken off the way that it did after COVID, right? Because a lot of people
Hmm.
started learning about hygiene, not intimate hygiene, but hygiene and sanitation only after COVID. सब
Hmm.
obviously डर की वजह से काफी चीजें सेल होती है. I
Hmm.
wouldn't say ये डर की वजह से हुई है, but education की वजह से हुई कि
Yeah.
नहीं sanitation. So yeah, I think that is how we started NuutJob.
So audience के लिए what is NuutJob now? मतलब are there products? How do men like us can use those products? What is NuutJob?
Right. So NuutJob is a male intimate hygiene and grooming company. We care, cater into topical solutions that you can use on an everyday basis. जैसे मैंने आपको talcum powder के बारे में बताया, we've got a liquid powder that is a replacement to talcum powder.
Okay.
We worked on an intimate wash, considering that men don't want to buy 10 different products, right? तो हमने एक intimate wash में shampoo भी डाल दिया, body wash भी डाल दिया, ताकि आपको 100 दूसरी चीजें नहीं खरीदनी पड़े, just for the sake of cleaning up your body correctly. So that is what we've done. We've introduced an intimate, compared to regular deodorant जिसके अंदर alcohol होता है, this is a product that does not have alcohol, especially for your intimate area. Alcohol क्या करता है? It's a drying agent. Your intimates cannot be overly dry क्योंकि उससे itching होती है, which you might have seen. अगर winters में आपकी skin अगर ज्यादा over dry होता है तो itching हो जाती है. Even if your scalp is dry, you get dandruff or itchy scalp. So we've introduced a lot of different products based on the कॉन्वर्जेशन जो हमने लोगों से बात की कि आपको डेली लेवल पे इंटीमेट हाइजीन के रिलेटेड कैसे टाइप के प्रोडक्ट्स चाहिए होंगे, बी इट हेयर रिमूवल, हेयर रिमूवल स्प्रेज, liquid powders, different things that we've spoken to people about on basis what they need on a daily basis. So वैसे टाइप की products है for everyday use.
So आपको टाइम कितना लगा?
That is one NuutJob.
Once you decided that you want to go into this sector and build something around it, मतलब how much time it took you to really figure out the secret sauce behind the products? Because it's not something कि आपने बस बना दिया. It has to be, because people are applying on their intimate areas, they have to be very very strict regulations around it. तो वो knowledge कहाँ से आई आपके पास कि यार ये हम भी कर सकते हैं? Because normally people don't get into building a skincare brand, just get into it. They have to have that kind of expertise or knowledge around it. So वो कैसे acquire किया आपने?
Right. So we've got a third party manufacturer, Nitin. तो उसके अंदर क्या होता है? With him comes a lot of expertise in what is the right kind of product that we should be building. What also happens is, just 1 second, I'm so sorry. What happens along with that is that वो हमें बता रहे थे talking to a lot more manufacturers who are in the space of creating products, but हमें चाहिए था that we go to somebody जो intimate hygiene को समझे rather than just regular body needs. तो जो हमारे manufacturer है, he caters to all his products that are intimate hygiene based, minimal ingredients with maximum output. That's what we wanted in our products. We didn't want a lot of falana dinka na ye bhi dal do fancy ingredients. We wanted ingredients that work for you. We wanted ingredients that work as hard as you do, Nitin. We wanted you to have a product that will stay on for the longest period of time, delivering what you want, rather than being like a talcum powder जो आपको next time sweat आए तो वो निकल जाता है, right? You'll need to keep reapplying a product like this. So the expertise of what we wanted to create went with what we spoke to our manufacturer. Again, for any intimate hygiene products, there's a certain R&D period that goes on. We've got a strict 6-month R&D period. So the moment that हमने जब start किया thinking about starting a line like this, it involved us to buy a lot of products off the shelf, read who are the people who are manufacturing it, calling them and understanding what is it that they want in terms of MOQ क्या करना है, what are the kind of specialty products that they use, are there any brands. We didn't obviously directly give them the idea of intimate hygiene products because that's stupidity. You need to have an NDA before talking to manufacturers, but basically understood कि वो कैसे टाइप के प्रोडक्ट्स बना रहे हैं, उनकी सबसे ज्यादा सेलिंग प्रोडक्ट्स कौन से है, राइट? ऑल्सो क्योंकि हम काफी यंग थे, वी डिडंट हैव अ लॉट ऑफ मनी टू फंड आवर स्टार्टअप, वी हैड टू ऑल्सो फाइंड अ मैन्युफैक्चरर जो कम एमओक्यू में प्रोडक्ट बनाए. देयर एक्सपर्टीज कुड बी कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट, बट दे ऑल्सो should have understood the fact that we are coming from a background which is not, यानी मैंने शैम्पू नहीं बनाना जिसका मैं जैसे ही मार्केट में लेके आओ there'll be a great need for it and understanding कि ये शैम्पू कैसे काम करता है. We were coming into a market where people didn't know what these products were, so to explain to them what a product like this would do would require a lot more time, right? So I couldn't have a lot of inventory that would be sitting with me अगर मेरे को ज्यादा टाइम लग रहा है उनको बताने में कि क्या कर रहा है. So we obviously wanted, and also the fact of money, right? क्योंकि मेरे को इतना ज्यादा spend नहीं करना था inventory. So that was also a point where we had to use in terms of talking to manufacturers. So basically a lot of our conversations and what we needed were basis finding the right kind of manufacturer who understood what we wanted to get, but also bringing in his expertise ki, I think this is a formulation that would work for you. This is something that we could work on. a lot of
Right.
testing and trying. So the entire process of creating the NuutJob products took us about 1 year. आइडिया आया था मार्च में, लॉन्च किया हमने मई एंड जून फर्स्ट वीक में. सो
Hmm.
ऑब्वियसली रीवर्किंग ऑन लॉट ऑफ सैम्पल्स कि कैसे काम करते हैं, क्यों करना है, कैसे करना है, कैसी पैकेजिंग करना है, on a lot of those bases. So
Okay.
I trust my manufacturer the most. I think that's very important when you come for a D2C company like this.
Right. So, but do you think that, for a company, having a outsourced manufacturer is better than creating the whole thing inside, especially when you have an IP related to your product?
Not really, because for me to get those licenses, it would have taken a lot more time,
Hmm.
and I would have really missed out on the bus had I waited for certain things. I
Hmm.
wouldn't know what is the right kind of formulation that had to be made. I
Hmm.
didn't know the right kind of people that I should get in touch with.
Right.
Also, setting up a factory would take a lot of money, right? I didn't have the
Right.
money. I bootstrapped the company at just 5 lakh rupees
Hmm.
after breaking the LICs that we had. So
Hmm.
obviously, considering the money, considering the expertise that we had, also considering the time that we were
Hmm.
going to give to the company, having a third party manufacturer made a lot of sense, because what they bring to the table is a lot more than having your own company. If you go
Hmm.
in the bigger run, yes, once we've made a certain amount of money, having your manufacturer makes a lot of sense, because you know the right kind of formulations and you're sticking to those. You're
Right.
obviously revising and reworking on a lot of formulations, going through an R&D process. There are a lot of licensing that needs to happen, right? So I
Right.
think that would have taken a lot of time, and it wouldn't have been half as credible as going to a manufacturer who's known to be credible. So yeah.
But was it like very hard or normal, very easy for you to convince a manufacturer? क्योंकि जैसे आपने बोला, you didn't obviously had money, right? So कितना मुश्किल था आप लोगों के लिए वो convince करना कि यार आप लोगों के साथ भी कोई काम कर सके, वो उसके बारे में थोड़ा सा बताओ, because lot of people in the audience want to start their D2C brand, and I think
Right.
that's the hardest part for them, convincing a manufacturer. वो
Right.
कितना struggle था उसके अंदर, और convince करना कितना मुश्किल था आप लोगों के लिए?
Convince karna to is not something that's really difficult, because
Hmm.
they're looking for business. It
Right.
makes sense for me to understand what they're expecting from me as a business,
Hmm.
considering that it is a women run business. Anushri and I were the people who pitched the idea to them. A lot of times what we saw was, do you seriously want to do this, or is this a आप कोविड में बोर हो रहे हो तो आपने हमें
Hmm.
कॉल कर दिया kind of thing,
Yeah.
correct? So it's important to have also realized, a lot of people will faff around in terms of ki, because they don't know,
Yeah.
they'll tell you things that you wouldn't know, and try to take you in a different direction. It's really important that you know your facts, right? Which
Right.
happens once you talk to a lot of people, because when we started talking to manufacturers, हम लोग काफी naive थे, क्योंकि we didn't know the right kind of questions to ask. We didn't know about a lot of formulations. Because I've not studied commerce, I didn't even know what an MOQ is, right? And I
Hmm.
didn't know what an NDA is.
Hmm.
So the idea of us wanting to do this began with us experimenting of pitching a completely different product to the manufacturers, and understanding कि उन्हें क्या लग रहा है जब हम दो लड़कियां ऐसे जाके उनको बोल रहे हैं कि वो ऊपर ऊपर की बातें कर रहे हैं. You talk to 2-3 people, then you realize in the difference that they're trying to tell you, right?
Hmm.
The idea, you're selling them a dream. The idea is you're selling them a dream. They need to see that, is this something that's truly going to work? Is this
Right.
something that they'll tell somebody else? It needs to also be a two-way process, right? They
Hmm.
need to give you the actuality of what the reality is,
Right.
because they're working with a lot of brands. A lot of that was based on the number of conversations that we had. ऐसे नहीं हुआ कि एक बार किसी से बात कर दिया, उन्होंने बोल दिया कि हाँ बहुत बड़ा बढ़िया आइडिया है, बट आप 10,000 से कम तो मैं ऑर्डर लेता ही नहीं हूँ,
Hmm.
राइट? अगर आपको टेस्टिंग भी करनी है तो इसके ये पैसे, वो पैसे. सो
Hmm.
अ लॉट ऑफ इट वाज बेस्ड ऑन हमें कौन क्या बोल रहा है, उनने कैसे टाइप के प्रोडक्ट्स बनाए हैं, एंड वर
Right.
दे people that we should be working with or not,
Hmm.
right? So based on, I think that was based on conversation. A heavy part of my life is based on the communication that I have with a lot of people.
Hmm.
I tend to judge people on how they talk to me and what is it that they truly tell me.
Right.
And that is something that I've infused in NuutJob also,
Hmm.
which we'll talk later. That's a great marketing and sales thing that I, as as a founder of the company, believe in, that I need to communicate with my customers, because that's the way that my company is going to grow.
Right.
So based on a lot of communication that I had with my manufacturer, and understanding what he understood about the segment was
Hmm.
important for me, because I will not tell him about ingredients. वो तो मुझे कुछ भी बोल सकते थे.
Correct.
But for me to have confidence, in this is something that's going to work. Is this going to be a good two-way process for
Hmm.
us to have? एंड इज दैट पर्सन अ ट्रस्टवर्दी
करेक्ट,
पर्सन और नॉट, क्योंकि
करेक्ट,
उनने मेरे
हाँ,
लिए बना दिया बट वो यूनिलीवर को जाके बेच दे वो आइडिया, तो वो तो
बिल्कुल,
एक दिन में बना देंगे, राइट? सो टू
करेक्ट,
हैव अ ट्रस्टवर्दी पर्सन आल्सो टेकिंग केयर ऑफ योर बिजनेस, इट्स
करेक्ट।
वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट।
तो आपने जो प्रोडक्ट बनाए डिड यू आपने क्या वो घरवालों को दिए पहले टेस्ट करने के लिए आप बिफोर यू लॉन्च्ड इट टू द मार्केट और पब्लिक?
Yeah, my father, my I think the men in my family were the guinea pigs for
या,
all the product testings.
या,
I mean, वो तो सब FDA यानी R&D होके आए थे, so it wasn't like कुछ भी बना के दे दिया तो यूज करेंगे.
या,
But it was them judging the viscosity of it, the smell of it, कितनी देर तक ये चल रहा है, obviously. But they were the guinea pigs. I
या,
had my friends also tried. So yes,
या,
I think क्योंकि मैं और अनुश्री इस बात के लिए वो वाउच नहीं कर पाते, वी हैड टू हैव अस टेल अस
या,
कि अच्छा व्हाट
या,
इज वर्किंग फॉर यू, ये कितनी देर तक के चला है, इसका थिकनेस क्या है, इसकी स्मेल क्या है, इज देयर एनीथिंग दैट्स इरिटेटिंग यू इन टर्म्स ऑफ द फॉर्मुलेशन, अंडरस्टैंडिंग व्हाट दे फेल्ट फ्रॉम इट, सो दे वर आवर
ओके।
गिनी पिग्स।
तो फर्स्ट सेल्स कैसे आई आपकी? आपने जुलाई, जून में आपने बोला मई में आपने लॉन्च किया आई थिंक जून मई के आस-पास राइट? तो
करेक्ट।
फर्स्ट सेल्स कहाँ से आई और उसके बाद की सेल्स की जर्नी क्या थी और हाउ डिड यू गॉट दैट क्या मार्केटिंग चैनल्स आपने यूज़ किए फर्स्ट फ्यू मंथ्स में?
राइट। तो मैं आपको बता देती हूँ, बिफोर वी वेंट ऑन टू शार्क टैंक व्हिच इज अ मेजर पार्ट ऑफ आवर जर्नी,
या,
अनुश्री और मैं ये बिजनेस हमारा साइड गिग की तरह चला रहे थे,
हुँ,
वाजंट आवर मेन फोकस। सो व्हाइल वी वर आल्सो डूइंग नट जॉब, वी वर आल्सो वर्किंग ऑन जॉब्स व्हिच वाज अर्निंग अस रेवेन्यू टू पंप इनटू नट जॉब।
हुँ,
सो
हुँ,
आई वाज वर्किंग विद एन एंटरटेनमेंट बेस्ड कंपनी, अनुश्री वाज वर्किंग इन द मॉड्यूलर किचन एंड फर्नीचर बेस्ड कंपनी। तो क्या हो रहा था इज दैट वी weren't focusing a lot of our time and energy into nut job, but we were trying to see ki how is it that it'll run over a period of time.
राइट,
Moving on to the question that you asked, majority of our initial sales were obviously friends and family who also told their friends and family for sales, which
हुँ,
was happening through the website. But our
हुँ,
very first organic sale, I would say, happened through Amazon. The moment that we listed our product on Amazon, which was in the month of June,
हुँ,
I had my first order on the 5th of June.
ओह!
I remember that, and
या,
the guy's name is Kiran. I clearly remember all my firsts.
या,
So when what we did with Amazon is that I took a boot camp in understanding how to list your products
या,
correct. What a lot of those people said कि आपको आपके keywords पे सबसे ज्यादा focus करना है, पैसे
हुँ,
नहीं डाल रहे हो मत डालो, but keywords अपने सही रखो. For
हुँ,
anybody who wants to go onto Amazon and other marketplaces, it's important. SEO obviously is important for your website, but keywords are super important for any marketplace because लोग उससे search कर रहे हैं.
हुँ,
ज़्यादा फैंसी कीवर्ड्स मत रखो, क्योंकि अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स जो मैंने प्रोडक्ट बनाया था चेफिंग के लिए, अभी लोगों को, इंडियंस को नहीं पता है चेफिंग क्या होता है, उन
करेक्ट,
लोगों को फ्रिक्शन समझ में आता है या कुछ और समझ में आता है। सो वी वर्कड ऑन द आइडियाज ऑफ हैविंग वेरी रेगुलर कीवर्ड्स, तो
करेक्ट,
उसकी वजह से पीपल स्टार्टेड बाइंग द प्रोडक्ट्स।
हुँ,
इनिशियली मेरे को लगा है अमेजोन पे नहीं चलने वाला है।
हुँ,
द मोमेंट दैट वी हिट 100 sales in the very first month of us being
हुँ,
on Amazon, वो मेरे लिए इतना बड़ा वैलिडेशन था कि
या,
यार इसकी नीड है, लोग
या,
सर्च कर रहे फॉर अ प्रॉब्लम दैट वी ट्राई टू केटर थ्रू अ प्रोडक्ट,
हुँ,
बी इट about sweating, be it about intimate areas, itching, be it about 10 different things. But the idea is that people, even on Amazon, are searching about something
राइट,
like this, right? So that was my very first validation कि हाँ यार हमने कुछ अच्छा बनाया है that would do
राइट,
well. If we've not even
राइट,
pumped one single rupee onto Amazon, and
राइट,
this is strictly based on the keywords that we think would work for people to
हुँ,
discover products, it came on. Also
हुँ,
ये कोई बड़ी कंपनी के थ्रू ब्रांड नहीं था, दिस वाज देम बेटिंग ऑन कि चलो नया ब्रांड है, बट दे टॉकिंग अबाउट सॉल्विंग एन इशू was a big step for them, right? I'm sure there would have been more people who would have searched it but not have bought it क्योंकि उनको नहीं लगा कि चलो ये नोन ब्रांड से है या इंटीमेट एरिया में नोन ब्रांड के अलावा हमें यूज नहीं करना है.
हुँ,
But
हुँ,
these 100 people trusted us, and that showed me कि यार चलो 100 people trusted a
राइट,
new brand because of a need and
राइट,
because that they truly need something like this in India. So I think that was
राइट।
my validation.
तो आपको लगता है कि आपको जो पीआर का जो बैकग्राउंड था उसकी वजह से आप लोग कीवर्ड रिसर्च जो आपने बताया दैट यू वर एबल टू डू दैट क्या वो उस बैकग्राउंड की वजह से बहुत अच्छे से हो पाया या डिड यू लर्न न्यू थिंग्स टू डू कीवर्ड रिसर्च?
I am a very curious person, to be honest. I don't think my background in PR was the reason that the keywords truly happened. But yes, a part of it, because you know कि exactly क्या शब्द would really captivate somebody's attention. So yes, a
राइट,
little of PR writing over there,
या,
but also based on a lot of communication जो मैंने दूसरे लोगों से किया.
हुँ,
So like I mentioned, communication तो बहुत बड़ा part है NuutJob for us, because that helps me know what is it that people truly want. So
हुँ,
in a way, yes, PR did help me, but also in understanding how certain things work for us, which is why
हुँ,
understanding how Amazon as a tool,
राइट,
even if you're not pumping in money, what are certain tools that you could use in terms of getting your product out to the right kind of audience.
राइट,
So I think for any founder, it's important that you learn the tricks of the trade, क्योंकि ऐसा नहीं होता कि हमने बना के बैठ गए. You need to
करेक्ट,
work your, I'll tell you something that I learned on my entrepreneurship journey is that having an idea is the easiest thing
या,
in any business, but to make that first sell,
या,
especially to
या,
somebody that you don't know, is the toughest thing, and to keep
बिल्कुल,
sustaining it is the
बिल्कुल,
most tough thing. So I think that is something that I was very curious to, take it the right way to the people, and that is something that motivated me कि nahi, I want people to discover the product in the right way. So I
बिल्कुल।
think that really helped me.
और इसी के ऊपर ना मेरा एक और चीज़ ये मानना है, जैसे आपने बोला कि सेलिंग टू फ्रेंड्स एंड फैमिली इज़ समथिंग व्हिच इज़ फाइन, मतलब वो ठीक है।
Right.
बट अंटिल अनलेस यू स्टार्ट गेटिंग ऑर्डर्स फ्रॉम लिटरली रैंडम स्ट्रेंजर्स इन द वर्ल्ड,
Right.
that should ideally be the goal and should be considered as a real validation of the product or the business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it gives you a different high. यार मैंने तो इसको बताया भी नहीं पर इसने खरीद लिया. It's
Yeah.
something that you really feel proud about.
आपने क्या, जो ये पहले 100 कस्टमर्स थे जो जून में आए, ऑर्डर्स जो आए, क्या उनमें से किसी से बात की पर्सनल लेवल पे? डिड यू कॉल देम?
Yeah, I think that is something that we still do at NuutJob.
हाँ,
After a product goes out to people, randomly we'll pick out any customer, call them कि hi, आपको कैसा लग रहा है product? Did it work
या,
for you? कई कई बार initially जब मैं call करती थी तो कई बार लोगों को लगता था लड़की से नहीं बात करनी, which is why
हुँ,
then we had a man start calling them. Uh, and in certain things we've understood कि India also works on a lot of sexism, right?
या,
कि अगर मैं आपको कॉल करूंगी टू फिनिश purchase finish purchasing something off the website, that will work for people, but in terms of understanding how it's worked for you, we've figured that men take it,
हुँ, या,
men
या,
talking to the customers take
दैट्स
it
अ
a
वेरी
little better.
इंटरेस्टिंग इनसाइट।
करेक्ट.
या,
ऑल्सो बिकॉज वो थोड़े कंफर्टेबल होते हैं बताने
या,
में इवन अबाउट मेल एनाटमी कि
या,
ये पार्ट में ये हुआ, ये पार्ट में हुआ, तो इट ऑल्सो हेल्प्स अस डेवलप मोर फर्दर प्रोडक्ट्स आफ्टर
हुँ,
दैट कि
हुँ,
उनने बात की, ऑल्सो इम्प्रूविंग द प्रोडक्ट. जैसे इनिशियली हमने जो हमारा लिक्विड पाउडर था वो एक पंप फॉर्म में किया, राइट?
हुँ,
सो व्हाट वाज हैपनिंग इज कि कई बार जब वो दूसरी सिटी में जा रहा था तो वो पंप उसकी विस्कोसिटी बहुत ज्यादा थी. विस्कोसिटी इज thickness basically.
करेक्ट,
To anybody who's new to the idea of viscosity, it's the thickness of the product. तो क्या हुआ, वो thickness ज्यादा हो गई. अगर आप थोड़े colder area में जा रहे हैं तो any product like this, there's a chance that it'll thicken faster.
हुँ,
So what happened is that anybody who was using a pump, तो वो
राइट,
जम जा रहा था, वो
करेक्ट,
product बाहर नहीं आ रहा था. Nobody wanted to open it and whisk it and take it on the hand, because it's an intimate hygiene product. You don't want to already touch a product, right?
करेक्ट,
तो ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम वो बात करते करते हमने समझा कि उसको ट्यूब फॉर्म में करना है.
हुँ,
डिफरेंट प्रोडक्ट्स को कैसे पैकेजिंग चेंज करना है एंड हाउ डज दैट वर्क. इनिशियली आपको लगता है नहीं यार ये पैकेजिंग अच्छी लग रही है, ये करते हैं, बट
हुँ,
मे बी ट्रांसपोर्ट वाइज इट्स नॉट गुड, यूजिबिलिटी वाइज इट्स नॉट गुड, इवन इन टर्म्स ऑफ क्या बोलते हैं, कई लोगों को कांच में रखना
हुँ,
होता है, राइट? A product like this would really not do well अगर वो कांच के
हुँ,
प्रोडक्ट में गया हो. And this is a product that a lot of people are sometimes also embarrassed
राइट,
about. So sometimes you don't want it to be
राइट,
very outrightly there in the label कि ये
करेक्ट,
करता है, right? The idea is also to have the right kind of packaging work for the right kind of
या,
products.
या,
So
बट
that's what we figured out over a period of
बट
time.
योर प्रोडक्ट क्रिएट्स लॉट ऑफ क्यूरियोसिटी। कोई भी नट जॉब सुनता है ना, सो इट स्ट्राइक्स आउट कि कुछ तो अलग है ये। सो वो नट जॉब का नाम कैसे आया? ये मेरा पहला क्वेश्चन है, और उसके बाद मैं आगे पूछूंगा कि 100 की सेल्स से अगले महीने क्या क्या ग्रोथ रही।
Correct. So the name NuutJob actually came through my father, and actually the the name NuutJob, NUTJOB आया था. वो किसी और ने सजेस्ट किया था. I don't remember because we were sitting with a group of friends and I don't really remember who said it because सब लोग बहुत different names बोल
या,
रहे थे. My father was also there in the room. So he said, I like the name NuutJob. Why don't you try putting two U's to it? Right? And I'm like, why two U's? Like Ananya, to use. So I'm like, what to use? Like, understand one up, one down. And I'm like, oh my God, Papa, that's genius. Okay.
Yeah,
And also, it's a very interesting thing क्योंकि मैं मेरे पापा के साथ ये बात कर रही थी, right?
right,
It's not something that you see in regular
correct.
household that you're talking about male genitalia with your
Yeah,
father. I come from a Marwadi household, okay?
right.
तो ये तो मैंने एक तो मैं आपको बताऊंगी मेरी मम्मी was not okay with the idea of me starting a business like this.
हाँ,
मैं कि कौन सा लड़का तुमसे शादी करेगा इसके बाद क्या लिखूंगी मैं बायोडेटा में
yeah,
कि अनन्या नट जॉब में काम करती है अच्छी घर
yeah,
की लड़कियां ये सब काम करती है मैंने बोला
हाँ,
if there's a need it's just business treated as business
yeah,
but my father was supportive from day one and he's a very fun chap in the sense that he understands he's very Gen Z, if I
hmm,
may say so. He is very Gen Z compliant, like he mentions, and he was the one who suggested that put nut jobber to use. It
hmm,
fits the purpose of you talking about nuts.
right.
It gives the purpose where people like, oh, nut job in a different way,
Yeah,
but it also means crazy. That's what you two girls are. As in, like he meant to say, Anushri and I are that you guys are crazy to think about a topic like this, right?
right.
So the idea is to be crazy while you're addressing intimate hygiene, and that's why we decided to name the brand Nut Job, and it was easily available online. So I'm like, yes,
Yeah,
chalo, good.
yeah,
There were lots of different names that we came up with, but it was a fun day. We
yeah.
actually had a field day when we're thinking of names. Donuts bhi socha tha, DOH donuts.
So
Uh,
is it donuts or donuts?
you could see what मैंने तो DOH nuts बोला था दो
हाँ,
nuts
yeah,
but then because it sounds like donuts also and we
yeah,
decided to put two donut
right,
looking things but
right.
I when we thought of use it made a lot more sense than
Yeah,
donuts so yeah.
ओके. सो जून में 100 ऑर्डर्स आए आपके, 100 सेल हुई, और उसके बाद की ग्रोथ कैसे रही? और उसके बाद भी क्या अमेज़न से ही सेल आ रही थी, या यू स्टार्टेड वर्किंग ऑन अदर चैनल्स, एंड व्हाट वर दोज़ चैनल्स?
So initially, before Shark Tank, majority of our sales were coming from e-commerce platforms because that's where the discoverability of the product was really high. In the sense because nobody would come to a website because they didn't know that a nut job like this was there. What e-commerce platforms at that time really offered us was the idea कि अगर आप problem based things search कर रहे हो, then that is when a product would come out. So
हुँ,
before Shark Tank, a lot of our sales were coming on e-commerce platforms like Flipkart and Amazon.
हुँ,
We'd obviously started approaching a lot more different e-commerce places, but at that point of time, they weren't open to onboarding very new brands. They wanted to
हुँ.
see a certain kind of sale that was coming in to really sell our products. There were like chotu motu other brands that were also there, e-commerce brands that we were
अब
on.
अब लाइन पे आ गए वो?
I don't want to, bite the hand that feeds me. So I'm not going to say anything. But
Yeah,
I have seen it's not just them, it's also people around us who
yeah,
said कि brand nahi kaam kar that, brands that are working. Oh, we know the Maloo sisters. Ghar ka hi to brand hai, ye hai. And I'm like,
right.
people palto very fast. So
Yeah, yeah,
initially, I felt very happy about it, but
yeah.
we saw a great growth month on month happening from our e-commerce platforms
What
right before we went on to
what was
Shark Tank.
the percentage, अगर percentage में बोले तो
Percentage, if I may tell you, there was a good 2% growth that was happening per month on because it was a very young brand and
yeah,
discoverability was happening through e-commerce platform. But to even see a 2% growth was a good thing because it's a new segment. It wasn't a shampoo in the market. It was an intimate hygiene product and people were opening up to trying products. A lot of those were also so then we once the e-commerce thing started picking up the website sales also started happening because they saw that there's a more there's यानी हम लोग डाल रहे थे एक note in the e-commerce thing that if you have bought this product there's a 10% extra in the
hmm,
website thing that you're buying.
hmm,
So we figured अगर website पे आ रहे हैं and they're using that 10% so they've really liked the products
right,
on our through our e-commerce improved our that improved the LTV also for the people who bought the products initially and then coming for them to come onto our platform decreasing
hmm,
our commission that we were obviously paying on the e-commerce platform. So
right.
that really helped us and get to know कि ये loyal है कि नहीं customer.
तो बिफोर शार्क टैंक आपने क्या एड्स रन करनी स्टार्ट की थी या नहीं?
On e-commerce platforms, no, we didn't do e-commerce but we did run ads on social media through Facebook. That was a big fail.
ड्राइव वेबसाइट ट्रैफिक.
Correct. That was a big fail for
Yeah,
us where we wasted money. I'll tell
okay,
you why. क्योंकि
yeah,
we started doing that for obviously driving conversions to our website. But what happened is कि लोगों को पता नहीं था कि intimate hygiene products होते क्या है, right? It's like me
Hmm.
shouting in a room where nobody is there, wherein
Right.
they're waiting in another room to be educated about, right? So it was the same thing about intimate hygiene, that nobody knew what an intimate hygiene was. The ads were great, बट किसी को पता नहीं कि लिक्विड पाउडर होता क्या, तो क्यों स्वाइप अप करके
Right.
कन्वर्ट करेंगे. दे डिडंट नो व्हाट अ नट जॉब प्रोडक्ट इज, करता क्या है. आई मीन ऑब्वियसली वी ट्राई टू कीप एवरीथिंग ऑन द वेबसाइट पेज,
Hmm.
बट लोगों को क्या होता है, ओ आई डोंट नो अबाउट दिस, करेगा क्या. एंड थिंग अबाउट स्किपिंग एड्स इज वेरी इजी, राइट?
Yeah.
सो लाइक नहीं पता नहीं क्या होता है तो स्किप. They
Yeah.
weren't searching for it, they were
Yeah.
shown it, right?
Right.
There's a difference between searching for it and being pushed towards it, right? There are certain times that you won't buy something that you're being pushed towards, rather
Hmm.
that it'll be an easy buy for you when you're not obviously looking for it, which is what increased our CAC initially. And then we stopped within 1 month of spending a certain amount of money
Right.
on social media as well. Like, let it be, we don't want to waste money, because anyway we had very less money, and to justify something like this wouldn't have made sense.
Correct.
See, we'd only been functioning 3 months before we went on to Shark Tank. So there wasn't a lot of money that was spent before Shark Tank. And
Hmm.
after Shark Tank, we didn't have the need to spend money on,
Yeah.
putting up our products. The only ads that started happening were last year in the month of October, that we started, running ads, which
Okay.
we've seen obviously a different set of audience come back to us. But usse pehle to बिल्कुल नीड नहीं दिख रही थी, be it on e-commerce platforms or be it on any other places that we are internationally also, because they were selling on their own webs.
Hmm.
And uske baad everything directed to websites, so which is still the case. We get 60-40 ka ratio, 60 being website, 40 on e-commerce platforms, so which says that we've got very high volumes on our website
Right.
right now.
राइट। तो शार्क टैंक पे आपने बोला जब आप गए तो 3 ही महीने हुए थे आपको। उस टाइम पे रफली आई थिंक आपका 150 के आसपास पर मंथ का ऑर्डर साइज़ होगा,
Correct.
राइट? अब शार्क टैंक एयर होते ही क्या सर्ज आपको दिखा उसके अंदर?
We saw good 200% rise in the number of orders. Every day we were getting about 10,000 orders, yeah. So that's
10,000 ऑर्डर्स
that's crazy, right? मैं सब
एवरी डे?
e-commerce website and everything मिला के बात कर रही हूँ, तो
ओह
यानी
शिट!
initially we यानी 10,000 I'm saying for the first 5 days,
राइट,
correct? So
राइट,
that told us कि यार ये तो
या,
अलग ही है,
या,
यानी this could go. And I'm talking about website, e-commerce, and international places that we were
या,
on. And we sold out in like a week's time. Yeah, I
या,
didn't know what the power of Shark Tank.
या,
So we had to obviously wait for about 5 days till us, manufacturers sent back the, inventory to us ki
राइट,
chalo ye ban gaya. And then the way of
राइट,
taking NuutJob ahead really began.
राइट,
But
राइट।
crazy.
I can see the sparkle in your eyes while
Yeah.
you talk about it. तो मुझे ये पूछना है कि क्या आपको लगता है कि यू नो देयर इज अ ब्रांड नाउ एसोसिएटेड विद यू टू मल्लू सिस्टर्स जैसे आपने बोला and do
Yeah.
you think you can leverage this brand in scaling up your advertising and do very creative marketing strategies? क्या आप ऑलरेडी कर रहे हो ऐसा या आगे प्लान है ऐसा करने का?
The idea is obviously, see, understanding that two women running a male hygiene brand initially बहुत cool लगता है यार. The thing
Hmm.
is, because I keep addressing the idea, oh, there are two women running a male intimate hygiene.
Yeah.
But over a period of time, क्या होगा? The shock value will run low.
Hmm.
The thing is, I can't run my company based on just who two people are running the company. We're not the
Right.
brand. The
Right.
products have to be the highlight. So we, over a period of time, we want to switch the focus from Anushri and I to what the products truly do and why people really need a brand like this here in India. आपने जैसे इंटरव्यू कर लिया, आई मीन ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, लाइक हाँ ठीक है चलो, गर्ल्स गेटिंग इनटू दिस इज ओके, दिस इज fine. It'll become so normal with so many women entrepreneurs coming into the space. For
Right.
me, I feel that over a period of time is ये शॉक वैल्यू नहीं रहेगा, चलो लड़कियां करे तो खरीद लेते हैं.
Hmm.
प्रोडक्ट काम कर रहा है तो खरीदेंगे, इज व्हाट वी
Right.
रियली वांट टू डू. एंड आई वांट टू distance myself from the brand of NuutJob to an idea that I want the product to shine rather than me selling the idea of women entrepreneur and male intimate hygiene product
Right.
leader. I want
Right.
to disassociate with the idea of that, because then only it'll sustain over a period of time.
Right. राइट,
कितना आप ढिंढोरा पीटोगे कि यानी
या,
2 लड़कियाँ काम कर रही हैं, कुछ
या,
काम नहीं करेगा, शॉक वैल्यू लो रन में होने ही वाला
राइट।
है।
तो आपने ना एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्ट्स बोले जो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग होते हैं डी टू सी ब्रांड के लिए। एक तो आपने सीएसी व्हिच इज़ कस्टमर एक्विजिशन कॉस्ट, और दूसरा आपने एलटीवी व्हिच इज़ लाइफ टाइम वैल्यू की बात की। तो डी टू सी के अंदर नॉर्मली माना जाता है कि यार 1:3, 1:4 अगर हो तो बहुत अच्छा है, उससे ऊपर हो तो बहुत ही अमेजिंग है, राइट? तो
राइट,
क्या आप कुछ इस पे लाइट थ्रो कर सकते हो कि आपके बिज़नेस के अंदर अभी क्या उसका रेशियो होगा? आई एम नॉट आस्किंग द एब्सोल्यूट नंबर्स, बट रेशियो क्या एवरेज बॉलपार हो सकता है इस टाइम पे?
right. I'll tell you why my CAC is higher is because this is a completely new segment, which
हुँ,
takes a lot of time for me to convince another buyer to switch from something that they've
राइट,
been using over years to make a switch to something like this.
करेक्ट,
Which is why when we started doing this, because मेरा experience हुआ था through somebody who's not a part of our TG anymore, that is
हुँ,
my father. He is somebody who would not discover the brand until and unless my mom buys that product and gets it घर पे.
राइट,
So we figured that this is a social media brand,
हुँ,
and this is something that we want to focus on people from say 16-year-olds to
हुँ,
35-year-olds who
हुँ,
would buy the product. The
हुँ,
discovery obviously happened for somebody who was 50 up, right?
हुँ,
But we figured that over a period of time, these are our people that we'd want to convert, and these are people who would be open to trying newer products.
राइट,
So our CAC is running a little higher compared to what is expected.
हुँ,
A, because this is a completely new segment.
हुँ,
B, I'll tell you why it's higher, because this works on the idea of telling you that there's a problem with you, right,
या,
Nitin? The thing about our brand is ki it works on the idea of the breaking the sexist image that brands are built for
या।
men here.
इट्स अ
So
कैटेगरी क्रिएशन प्रोडक्ट इन अ वे।
correct. It is a category creation. Why it's important is because women from the very beginning are told that you're flawed, you need to buy this product. ये गोरे होने का प्रोडक्ट खरीदो. Men from the very beginning are told axe खरीदो macho बनोगे. ये
हुँ,
underwear खरीदो macho खरीदोगे. What we're telling you is that listen, you're sweating down there.
हुँ,
These, but we also want to work on the idea of celebrating manhood rather than shaming you into buying it. It's very
राइट,
important. So
राइट,
that is why my CAC runs a little high, because it's a little difficult for convert what has been normalized into a male psyche of buying a certain product, right?
राइट,
Why they need to make that switch, which is why it's a little higher compared to what is there in the market. But once you buy the product, my LTV increases because you've
ओके,
really liked using the product.
राइट,
Although it happens behind closed doors and listen, anonymously deliver kar dena, I don't want my family to know about it. It's important that you realize कि आप थोड़ा differently इसको treat करो. Initially the CAC will be higher. I can't cry about it because that's the market scenario here in India. We
या,
entered with the idea of breaking certain taboos. We weren't given a golden platter कि हाँ बनाया बनाया market है, कुछ पैसे नहीं खर्चेंगे.
राइट,
Why it's coming down right now, I've seen a major decrease in the CACs because before we went into the tank, there
या,
were not a lot of brands that were catering to male intimate hygiene. Now that you look at it, there are so
या,
many brands that are doing this, which gives me hope ki bada hoga. Also, a
करेक्ट,
very important news that came in today was that Akshay Kumar is getting into the personal hygiene and grooming space with Good Glam, right?
राइट,
That is validation कि चलो बड़ा होने वाला मार्केट. मेरा
राइट,
सीएसपी कम होगा क्योंकि वो लोग भी स्पेंड करेंगे, वो लोग
करेक्ट,
भी एजुकेट करेंगे. So
करेक्ट,
that is what is happening. But I can't compare it to obviously industry standards. It will be higher right now. And
हुँ,
something that Aman also said in the tank was that I'll spend a lot of money in terms of educating people. But initially, it will take time. But once it's become very normalized,
हुँ।
it'll pick up. So I am in the spending money phase. So yeah.
Okay. So मैं ऑडियंस को बोल देता हूँ, if anyone wants to ask any question, now is the time because we are already overshot the time that we thought of.
Right.
तो अगर किसी को कुछ पूछना है तो प्लीज कमेंट में लिख दीजिए. विल आस्क अनन्या अबाउट इट. मुझे एक दो और क्वेश्चंस पूछने हैं अनन्या आपसे टिल ऑडियंस मे बी वांट टू आस्क समथिंग. आपने ना बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट बोला कि अगर आपके डैड को लेना होगा तो शायद आपकी मॉम वो सजेस्ट करेंगी. सो आपने क्या मार्केटिंग के अंदर भी वो फिलॉसफी यूज की है दैट रादर देन शोइंग एड्स टू मेल यू बेसिकली शो एड्स टू फीमेल so that they can buy it for their husbands?
Why I'll tell you we're not doing that is because my mom will not convert into an Instagram ad. She
Okay,
will not buy something like this for my dad. She'll discover the product offline for
okay,
my father and then maybe buy it. But also with the चाहिए नहीं उनके लिए I don't know, right? Because there's this taboo that should I
Hmm.
address intimate hygiene in a public space? Like कि मैंने ये लिया
Right.
है. Like even if she's, if I show my mother a condom, she's not going to go buy it, right? When she
Yeah.
goes into a public space. This again is something that's a little taboo in the sense, looky nahi, because
Hmm.
there's that intimate area ke liye, right? For men. So for
Correct.
women to go into a market space and buy it offline will not really work. And I wouldn't, I know for a fact that women my mother's age would not convert into something like this on an Instagram or a Facebook ad. They'd want to
Hmm.
personally
Correct.
maybe buy clothes, want to maybe personally buy personal hygiene things for themselves, right? So I don't
Hmm.
think this is something that they would want to convert into fast, and that'll be a money burn for me just to see a target, because that's something that we've analyzed by speaking to a lot of people. Even if I speak to my
Hmm.
neighbors, like, oh, acha, okay, acha kar rahe ho, but like there'll be no further
Hmm.
conversation about it.
तो आपका अभी क्या गोल है? लाइक डू यू वांट टू रिमेन अ D2C ब्रांड या प्लान है डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफलाइन करने में भी सो दैट यू गेट दैट स्केल ऑफ अ ह्यूज कंज्यूमर ड्रिवन
Right.
ब्रांड? तो क्या अभी कुछ ऐसा प्लान कर रहे हो या आगे कुछ प्लान है या ऑलरेडी कर चुके हो कुछ इस सेगमेंट में
So,
ऑफलाइन में?
see, offline has a very expensive approach. It requires a lot of inventory to go in. Yes, as a
हाँ,
D2C brand, obviously that's the goal, that you'd want to go the omni-channel approach karna hai, but that requires a lot of money. Right now, we're not in that
राइट,
space. Our TG is not also in that space right now. Once we worked on making this a really cool brand that you're not ashamed of buying, and addressing that you want a product like this, is when we go to the marketplace. Because आप किराने यानी किराना छोड़ो, केमिस्ट के पास भी जाओगे तो पीछे रखेगा, वो कोई जाएगा नहीं पूछते हुए कि आपके पास नट जॉब प्रोडक्ट प्रोडक्ट है कि नहीं. जिनको चाहिए they'll
राइट,
buy from us as distributors, but we currently are not going out in the offline approach of things. Yes, we'd want to, once we've grown the brand a little, once we've spoken about what the need is and why
राइट,
intimate hygiene a little more, but
राइट,
currently only online.
ओके, ओके। और अभी आपकी टीम का क्या साइज़ है? क्या स्केल है? आर यू हैविंग B2B सेगमेंट में आपको कुछ एप्लीकेशन दिखती है इसकी? लाइक कॉर्पोरेट गिफ्टिंग में कोई एप्लीकेशन दिखती है इसकी आपको?
It'll take some time for corporate gifting,
या,
to be honest.
या,
There have been times that, we've been approached by people who usually get into this gifting thing, but I'm like, you ask the people who want to buy this.
या,
Are there people open to the idea of कि हमारे ऑफिस ने हमको intimate hygiene products दिए? What are they trying to tell us, right?
राइट,
So not really, but maybe later, once it's become a really cool thing, once we surpass the idea of chocolates or
या,
anything else, I'm
या,
pretty sure.
ओके। वी हैव गॉट अ क्वेश्चन, मैं स्क्रीन पे पुट करता हूँ इसको। Prateek is asking, is there any research that happened on who actually buys your product and who is using that product? It may help you in marketing campaign.
Yes, absolutely, Pratik. We did a research before launching that product. A lot of what we launch is based on the communication that we've had with the people, and to understand who are the right kind of TG that needs a product like this. Like I mentioned earlier, to have the right kind of communication needs to be known. Like I know for a fact that we have a humor base, humor interlaced with education approach in our brand, which is something that sits very well with the young audience, which like I mentioned, is 18 to 35-year-olds. The idea kyunki why we chose that, because they're easy converts into buying our products, but also the fact that this is something that they can share as memes with their friends, rather than the idea tu mujhe mat batao on what I should do. Correct? That is something that people older to say 40 would do. Like, listen, मैं कब से चला रहा हूँ, अब मेरे
Hmm.
बाल ग्रे हो गए यूज करते करते, so I might as well continue using it for another 20 years. So we don't, after talking to them, is what we've obviously figured ki these are things that would work very well for people who are younger compared to people who are older, because converting them into trying a newer product like this, especially educating them about intimate areas, especially by two young women or two young men, is going to take a lot more time compared to me talking to a lot more younger men who'd want to convert into understanding what intimate hygiene is. Also, they're more vocal about their personal hygiene compared to people who are a little older, because they've set themselves into a particular lifestyle. So yeah, that's the research analysis that we had after doing it.
I think there is a follow-up question or maybe a statement from him. Let me just put it right up front. Your marketing is more like awareness campaign rather than having marketing same as Medulens. I mean, we invited Medulens founder also a few days back. So I think he's referring to that maybe where their sales guy are emergency condition awareness. So I don't know whether it's a statement or a question. But if
Yeah,
you have
I
any remarks on that, maybe you can put it up.
correct, but there are completely different
Yeah,
segments.
that's
So I
very
don't know
different.
how to make the comparison over here because
Correct.
medulence, like you mentioned, it's an emergency condition awareness. Mine is an everyday awareness brand. In terms of, like I mentioned, it's not a medicinal product, so it
Right.
makes it completely different. It's an everyday product. So working on that would really not make a lot of sense compared to what I think you're comparing medulence to.
No worries. I have another
How did
question
you?
from Ravi. He is asking, how did you guys did research if this is the correct product market fit? I think their dads and family were the guinea pig for that. Maybe
Right.
that.
I'll tell you one very fun question that we asked a lot of people. If I ask people over here, is Ravi, अगर आपने or compared to everybody else who's asking me questions, if you guys have a minimum of 10 men scratching their balls in public, and if you laugh at my question, then I've answered why we started this because it's so relatable and that's why you're laughing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's exactly the reason why we launched it. We had so many such instances that not just us as women laughed at, but also men who laughed at. So if you're
Yeah.
laughing, that means the problem is relatable. If the problem is relatable, there is a market, that to a wide market, जो है नहीं वो एजुकेशन है और एजुकेशन की वजह से एम्बैरेसमेंट है.
Another question is there from Saurabh. He's asking, what is your difficulty when it comes to engaging with the customer? I think you've addressed it, but if you want to add something more to that.
I think initially it was the gender in terms of engaging with customers, so which is why we switched our conversation, switched having a man ask certain questions. Also, we work around the reverse psychology format on when we started talking to people, in the sense that why is a talcum powder not working for you? They themselves gave us a reason why it wasn't working, and we figured, okay, अगर आपने जितने भी reasons अभी तक के cite किए हैं are all the things that our product works around. So it's really important that you ask them, not initially I think you should use my product, you should go and why is this particular product not working for you. I think that made, they were only selling the idea of why they need the product from us rather than us telling them why you need the product. So that was our sales and marketing gig that we did initially.
ओके, अमेजिंग। कुछ कुछ और कमेंट्स में क्वेश्चंस नहीं है बट एप्रिसिएशंस आई हुई हैं आपके लिए। तो
Yay.
पीपल रियली लाइक द वे यू गाइस आर बिकमिंग एंड क्रिएटिंग अ कैटेगरी, सो एंड दे आर थैंकिंग यू फॉर दैट। आई मीन वी आर ऑलरेडी way beyond the time frame that we thought of. So if anyone has any questions, maybe we are just here for like 10-15 seconds more. तो किसी को कुछ पूछना है तो आप अभी पूछ सकते हैं, अदरवाइज I have so many of questions around Shark Tank experience, जो हमने स्टार्ट में सोचा था हम पूछेंगे बट वहाँ तक तो हम पहुँच ही नहीं पाए। आई थिंक इतनी इंटरेस्टिंग कॉन्वर्सेशन हो रही थी। So maybe we'll have you another time and talk about what's going on now. But अभी का क्या status है आपका? How many orders or what's the size of business you have already achieved now? And what's the goal, going forward in the next 6 months or 1 year maybe?
I think we've sustained and obviously gone a little above what we'd started getting initially when we'd done Shark Tank India, like I mentioned,
Yeah.
10,000. So we're doing great sales right now, sustaining what we'd gotten then. We went with 3 products, we're 9 products big. We're obviously expanded into different countries. There's so much more that we want to get into. And I know for a fact why this has really grown as a NuutJob has been able to grow the segment is because there's a need, and that's why a lot of people in other companies have ventured into starting male intimate hygiene products. So
Right.
yeah, I think that's what has happened. I have seen a great year. We're completing our very first year almost after doing Shark Tank, and I've seen a absolutely amazing year on year growth, which goes beyond 25. So yeah.
Awesome. Great. Well, congratulations on the success and many, many more years of success to you. Thank you for being a part of the show. बहुत अच्छा लगा आपसे बात करके एंड पूरी जर्नी सुन के। और अभी जैसा मैंने बोला बहुत सारे और क्वेश्चंस हैं जो मैं सोच के बैठा हूँ कब पूछूंगा आपसे, बट टाइम ऑब्वियसली इज ऑफ द एसेंस एंड आई नो यू आल्सो हैव टू गेट बैक टू योर वर्क एंड sell more nut job products to the customers. So thank you for being a part of it. Really appreciate it, and thank you for audience to stay tuned and asking so many of amazing questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening ahead. Bye bye.
You too. Thank you so much.